Hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ya hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya ya hey ya hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya 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 hey hi yo hey yo hey yo Fort Beck Community College Ukiepino yo yo me too gashi dagush kashka yogi piano yo yo wata pebi agi ktabi ichachi ya bino hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ya hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ya yo hey ha yo hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ha ya hey yo hey yo hey yo Fort Beck Community College Ukiepino yo yo me too gashi dagush kashka yogi piano yo yo wata pebi hagik tabi ichachi ya bino hey yo hey yo hey ha ya hey ha ya hey ya hey
How matakuipi. Okay, Yushke Wachian Kampi. Chante Washtea Yuhana Pe Chuzapido. Okay, Elijah Hopkins Demier. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Buffalo Chasers podcast. Again, my name is Elijah Hopkins, and welcome again, and thank you for joining us. We are at week 8 of the Buffalo Chaser podcast, and before we get started on the discussion and conversation, I'll turn it over to Dekshi if he could start us off in a good way with a prayer, please. Bidama.
Oh, how can you hear me, Toshka?
Oh,
Hecha to a wopla chicha pelo. Daya hipi mitaku yapi hecha na hadagu skanka blaska. Wayaka po na ha. Okia wo nitaku yapi na ha. Ekchewe chasha mialo. Ambe tukile na ha omakia na ha wochikia. Chante yopia henanu ha. Kiksia chiemi trata sanka dopa na ji na ha. Hoa steyu ha eche to a wopila chicha pelo tushka. All my relatives again, welcome to our Buffalo Chasers Society webpage. And again, this is our discussions for the day, and we're going to try to help everybody understand the good things about our culture, our value system, and again, we're open to questions and discussion. And again, a lot of you were taught about the tobacco questions, and that's why we start our program off with a prayer in a good way, just to show and indicate that respect that we come walking in a good way, making good tracks on this new proverbial red road, if you will, for lack of a better word, to continue to go on and utilize this time and some of this technology to bring us forward in this way of life in a very trying time. And hopefully that we'll someday soon get back together to where to some sense of normalcy, but yet let's include this sort of a aspect, a venue, if you will, to continue to share our culture. So with that, I'm going to ask you in a good way to all help me as I go to the Creator at this time. Atukashila na wakatunta, tateo ya toba, umshi makana makaina, Nakumitakia pe wanagi makpia tayage. Hocho ka ekta hiopo. Nichope. Mushia ke mitakia pe wanagi makpia ta. Okia cha nitakia pe gixiapo. Naha nitakia pe winuk chalapi, wichak chalapi, wakaya japi, hokshilapi, winchinchalapi na koshkapi na wikoshkapi, chanku washte unk upi, wichoni washte unk upi, opia wo ushu wichalapo. Mana ke naha gixiapo mitakia pe agichita oyate kizuya ekta, wichasha bilen wiapile chanku washte unk upi. Mitakia pe naha tukashela na wakantanka gixiapo naha oyate oyasi chanku luta aga omani owi chakiapo ushu chalapo. Ekchewe chashamiano. Ambe tukile naha chante owagalake wuchikia lechumu mitakia pe naha Fort Peck Reservation okiawo. Amitak tukashla wakantanka ushia ke naha mitakia pina wayaza pina chante yoksi chomani o wichakia po ushu wichalapo. Ake ekche wichashamialo. Hohe chajemi tana wamnisha ge doba imachia pi ushimala. Ho mitakia oasi wamakashka oasi.
Oh, Pidama. Oh, beautiful prayer. Beautiful prayer. I really like that. Chante mawashte. Oh, there's try mute whoever's not on the call.
What'd you do?
Steve is got a runny nose here. We'll mute Steve.
Oh, that's you.
So again, we wanted to provide a venue for our students, especially, to kind of recap a little bit about what the podcast is for. We're doing our best to reach out, utilizing these new mediums, Facebook, Zoom. And so we're learning in this process too, but we want to provide an outlet to express some perspectives that we have, an elder, someone like Uncle Tommy here that can share some things, and it all has to do with mental health. We want to utilize the culture as a source of strength to provide enhancements in our life to kind of navigate this challenging time. The COVID environment is still upon us. We see some encouraging news, Dex, when we watch the news. I see some things. We have a couple different vaccines that are looking promising. That gives us some hope. It looks like another year or so before maybe that's widely available to the public. But I think having a discussion like that we've had for the past 2 months has been very fruitful, and we've covered a lot of different areas. And really, in 1 hour probably isn't enough to talk about all the things that we need to talk about. But I think we've gotten a lot of real positive feedback on social media, on Facebook. We do load up all the audio and video to different platforms like YouTube. Every full episode, about an hour's worth, we upload it there. So you go back, and if you're new to this podcast, if you've never listened to us before, this is something totally organic from Fort Peck Community College. It was just an idea that started with how do we reach students, and what's the best way to do that. And a lot of our students, young and old, utilize Facebook to do that. So that's why we're live streaming. And so we've also sent out this link to all currently enrolled students as of mid-October. So feel free to check your student email, join the call there. It doesn't mean you have to necessarily turn your video camera on. You don't have to turn your mic on. You can come just join the Zoom call and just listen. But if you want to, you're more than welcome to participate by turning the mic on, the webcam on, or type anything in the chat, and we can address it live right here if you're comfortable doing that. I know that for some of us, it's a little challenging, one, even having access to the technology, but even they'd like do something like this is a little intimidating. So we totally understand. Or if you want to just kick back and watch us on Facebook live, that's all good too. But just so you know, the more participation we get, the more we know that individuals out there that we have a good positive reach. And so again, I'll do this plug. It's anybody that's on social media, Facebook. If you give us a like, if you give us a share, you will be put in a weekly drawing for one of these Cho jackets. Actually, is rocking one over there. I'm rocking one. So you'll be part of this this Buffalo Chaser Society that we're trying to promote, but it's really for all of our community. But we have some things that we want to encourage participation, especially for our students. So we have some Kindle Fires. A Kindle Fire weekly, we'll be drawing for one of those and one of these jackets. So just give us a like or share. Then sometime after the podcast, we'll announce some winners. So with that, again, we also have reach on Apple Podcast, on Spotify, and Google Podcast. So there's a little bit of lag. It takes a couple of days before they're up and on from the original date of the post. But just so you know, I would highly recommend go back, start at week 1 and work your way through. There's lots of valuable information in there. So yeah, participation is key, is critical. But I think we always want to have this organic type of conversation, almost like we're just sitting around a campfire or at a table at Kushi's house and we're visiting. Because it's through that conversation, and Uncle Tommy will be the first to tell you that we're not telling you anything, we're sharing, and someone like him has a lot of experience. So I just really enjoy this whole experimental thing that we're doing with visiting and trying to integrate culture where we can, and hopefully as a source of strength for you as you try to navigate these challenging times. So, but yeah, wherever you want to start, Dex, I'll definitely follow your lead.
Oh, hechituela daya chano ia wastel tushka. Ake naha hamitake pe ambetukile michante tawagla ke naha na pechuza pero. Daya ya hipi hechitu dagu balashka wanyaka po mushia kemi. Wamisha ge hohe chajemi talana toba imachiape. Kind of help us all understand in that welcoming of all of our relatives out there. And again, we're trying this. This is a technological approach to kind of sharing our value systems for the sake of getting somewhat of that true sense of what it means to be adjusting to a more natural law perspective in regards to how we choose to live our life, not denying one or denying the other, but understanding the duality of how we on reservations coexist with one another, and taking advantage of those values in a positive way, dispelling a lot of the superstition that we heard, like Indians use Indian medicine and voodoo and a lot of things. Get rid of all that, because again, as a Dakota, a Lakota, Nakona, you'll find out the definition of those words is I'm your ally, I'm your helper, I'm somebody that you can rely on in times of need. And again, that's what we refer to ourselves as. We're not Sioux or this, that. We're Dakota, Nakota, and Lakota. We're your allies. We'll help you, because the intent of this is to help others, especially our non-Indian relatives, an opportunity to really realize who we are, how we think, how we speak, how we treat one another, and again, kind of intervene in that dysfunctional cycle of thought as it relates to magical experiences. It don't happen like that. The way we live, it's very natural. A lot of the things that we do is just something that we've come to understand the body is capable of doing as it relates to healing sick people. And a lot of our wapia, we chasha wapia wiapi, that's what they do, is they encourage that healing to go on in a natural way. the body will definitely develop that. But you see, the extremes to something like that, take for instance something a little bit more contemporary, is President Trump and his buddies that he has surrounded himself with. They're talking about herd, um, uh, what do they call it? Inoculation or something like that.
Immunity, herd immunity.
Yeah, herd immunity. Yeah, and see, we already know that. We have that, but you don't have to go to the extreme to where somebody has to die as a result of that. No, we understand the significance of the tancha, the body itself and its ability to heal. And as we go through ceremony, and we have certain medicinal approaches, various teas and herbs and whatnot, we uh we just bring that forward. But the thing of it is we start to understand uh some of the BS that has been expressed out there is for the sake of chasing that dollar in a capitalistic way, and some of our medicine men or medicine women have done that, and you can, and we tease within ourselves about things like that. And my dad used to tell me, he said, listen to this guy, he's going to jawbone for money. And so
Uh, Actually, Tommy, looks like you were muted, I think accidentally. Okay.
okay, here we are. Am I back?
Oh, oh, you're back.
Okay,
Oh,
yeah. But anyway, getting back to what was going on is see, a lot of our ceremonial men and women would utilize this to chase the dollar because of depressed times or whatever, something like that. And our ceremony is not to be exploited like that. It's to be respected. But people would ask, well, why don't you do something about it? Why? That's what they want to do. Henny hello, that's them. Then you just let them do that. And all we would do, and my dad would share with me, he said, well, when you go to a ceremony like that, he said, how you support them is you hope it works for them. Okay? And you can only pray like that. And he said, if it works for them, say, oh man, because it does work. I'm a product of that working ability. And I was just talking to one of my older brothers, Tashunga Saba, the other day. And oh man, I tell you, he was making Sundance way a long time ago in the Tibi Tonga, the Big Lodge. And when I first got introduced, and I was one of the biggest chickens. I didn't know what was going on, but he facilitated he facilitated that ceremony to where it was so open and so beautiful and so spiritual, and just it was just amazing how these things work as it relates to, if your mind is right, your heart is right, and if your heart is right, then you're speaking right, and then you're acting right. It's kind of along those lines, but oh, I have so much, not so much thankful to that particular individual because he facilitated so well, but to our cultural value system, to our way of life. And again, we always acknowledge those things. And then, of course, those people that do those things, they're not chosen, they're not special. They make up their own mind when they're mature adults, the men or the women that become healers, if you will, for lack of a better term. Wapie wichasha, wapie wia, kind of how you translate that, but they fix things in ceremony is what that word means. But they facilitate our healing process and afford us an opportunity to drink teas and various other medicines that we utilize. And they bring those together. They have the ability to coordinate these efforts into bringing a medicine man in, a singer in, people that will make commitments to this higher power and the Wakantata, the spiritual energy on your behalf and stuff like that. And as a result of that very humbling experience and that humble activity through ceremony, which wapia, wichasha wapia, what they coordinate, then it affects us in such a good way. For those of you that may have had relatives or people that deal with stress, uh, or excuse me, that have dealt with cancer and they've been healed. Stress has a lot to do with it. And so when you go to these things, and like I spoke about Tashunga Saba, how good he was at what he did because he's such a beautiful, spirited man, he made you feel so included, so involved, and you felt that the goodness coming in you, and the stress would just be gone, and you have a way of healing oneself through the ceremonial factor. And also, Dr. Michael Yellowbird out of Newtown, he works in Manitoba now. He runs a university department up there. He's done some research as it relates to the DNA and the metabolism, the physiological aspects of us as Indian people that believe we're indigenous to this land. And it's been proven through our DNA that we're not special, but we're different and we're unique to Turtle Island. Uh, he showed and he has proven and he has made writings about how the ceremonial aspect, the hitting of the drum, the rhythm, the words that we use, I think it's all has a healing effect on us as indigenous people, and we need that ceremonial wise. And so again, we address those issues in a responsible way. We try to help our people understand the importance of these different tribes. You know, that's why I'll share the tribes that are different, the within the tribes, the clans that are different within the clans, the societies that are different, and within the societies, the families that are different. And so I always shared this term, and I would hope that it would catch on, as our cultural value system is based on that diversity and uniqueness that represent natural law for the sake of the enrichment and the growth of our young people, which our young people represent the future. I would hope something like that would happen. A lot of people, but not including Dr. Michael Yellowbird, um, it's very philosophical, but other than the theoretical perspective, which Dr. Michael Yellowbird has proven, this philosophy or philosophizing about our way of life is kind of the beginnings of that, affording people an opportunity to accept uh, an option once they're in control of their faculties and all that good stuff. It's not about the individual per se, but you don't only represent yourself, but you represent your family, your tribe, and indigenous people all over the world as it relates to what we would say in our language, Wola Kota Makasi Tomini. And what that translates out into is peace all over the universe. And what represents that peace? Good, healthy body. How do you pursue that? Especially at trying times like this, is you become responsible. You look inwardly at, because as Indian people, we heal from the inside out differently than our non-Indian relatives. But we heal from the inside out. So you look inwardly and you accept that responsibility of being a human being, as opposed to looking this way and blaming other people for your problems, And that's the beauty of who and what we are, and that's the beauty of our philosophy in respects to continuing to proliferate that attitude of Wola Kota Makasi Tomni, or peace all over the universe. And we don't evangelize about it. We don't talk to it as much as we could, because we just live it. And when you live it, and people say, well, oh, okay, this, that, there was like a 30-year period of time in which I did not go to the doctor because I addressed all my illnesses or my medical needs based on the ceremonial aspect of that existence. And prior to that, I was at the doctor every day, really, because I was so ill at that time. This was 40 years ago. I was so ill at that time. I was at the doctor, at the clinic almost every day. Me and a whole bunch of pregnant women. Geez, I knew all the gossip. But because I was so ill. And then I got doctored in the Indian way, and I really never needed to go back to the clinic after that. But again, that's unique to me because again, I experienced that, a product of this way of life, and in respects to the spiritual aspect of how we can heal ourselves. But in that, uh, that's available to anybody and everybody. I'm not special. I'm not somebody that's blessed with this. I just made a personal choice as a result of not doing drugs and not doing alcohol when my natural father passed away. Of the love I had for my father, I quit all that. And so it's been 40 years, and since how long I've been in control of my faculties clearly, and but yet we don't, if somebody does utilize that, we don't put them down either. We don't criticize and judge them. We try to understand with some sense of empathy, showing a little compassion to how we can support them to possibly get healthier, not better, healthier. And see, there's differences in that philosophy. Does it make sense, Toshka? Kind of a philosophical approach as opposed to theoretical one, hey, based on theory and facts and logistics and stats and stuff like this.
Mhm.
Ours is more natural in philosophy. How do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I think that's a perfect example, kind of like what we're trying to do here through like a story, through sharing.
Yeah.
Uh, so like with the ceremonies and one thing I noticed is like a common denominator, I guess you would say, would be like the buffalo, right? The buffalo
Oh,
ceremonially
yes.
in the songs, you know, and you talked about that, and then I was listening to a gentleman, elder from another community the other day, talked about how, and I think it's true, you know, I think it applies to a lot of us. Traditionally, it was the buffalo models, what we follow. And so when you look at like you ever watched the buffalo, and I know we had to have been very observant people because
Yeah, yeah.
we would on the buffalo hunts and that initial song that we utilizing this technology, this new platform. One of my old teachers, he sang that song. I remember the year that came out. He was telling me about it, but that's our official school song because we are the Buffalo Chasers, faded in like that. But um, that's an important story. The why we are the Buffalo Chasers and utilizing that model. We at the center is the children. Okay, whenever if you ever been out on a buffalo hunt, you've
Yeah.
seen that. Uh, every time and if there's any type of danger, the buffalo will sense that, and they will circle around the most vulnerable, which is the children, the
Yeah.
calves, the women to the outside of those, they protect their calves, and the men on the very outside in a circle. It's a very powerful image, you know, to just watch that. I think is something that everybody should do, and I think it's no wonder why when we look at some of the ceremonies, the songs, and we start to understand a little bit of the language, it makes a whole lot of sense. And I think it's very fitting that it's a model that we've incorporated here at the college. So, but yeah, I think that's the best way to impart knowledge is through stories.
Can I say a couple of words there too, Elijah?
Please
Oh,
do.
cool.
To me.
Yeah.
Hi, Uncle.
Hey, Alma girl, how are you?
I'm Washte.
How heck you tell Toja?
Hey, one time, I was on the council when they started bringing the buffalo back, and we began working with the Pate group, and we've kind of been a support group for the restoration of our buffalo here at Fort Peck. I mean, my gosh, I wear everything: buffalo earrings, buffalo necklace, buffalo skirt.
Hey,
But anyway, I was just going to share what you just said, Elijah. When they first brought that herd back, we have a lady that we work with out of Montana State University. Her name is Beth Rink. And she really wanted to go out there to see those buffalo. So we took a cruise out there to see those buffalo, and they were in that quarantined corral at that time. And they had to stay there. That was part of the agreement that we made, was that they had to stay in this quarantined area. And they wanted them to acclimate before they put them out into a bigger pasture. So we kind of come cruising over this hill. This is before they had it all built up really as fancy as they have it right now. We came over this hill and we just kind of parked there and watched them. We had our windows rolled down, and it's like they were all kind of like the males, the old males were all in one corner. Then I don't know if you know Beth, but she's like, oh, those must be the groovy dudes. And there's the ones that are like, you know, yearlings, 2-year-olds, you know, kind of frisky. They were all together. Then all the females and the babies were on that south side, and they were, you know, they were freshly born, because remember when they first brought them back, Uncle, remember they were pregnant, and some of them were just now having their babies. Well, anyway, we figured that, well, that one must be a grandma. She doesn't have a baby. And she stood up. This one, she stood up. She's like, oh, that must be a grandma. Look at her over there. She stood up. She didn't have no babies. And here, pretty soon, all those mamas, they stood up. And then pretty soon, just like what you said, there wasn't too many males. I don't remember if there was too many males, but that's exactly what happened. They put all those little babies in the middle, and they encircled those babies. And then pretty soon they were all surrounded. And it was so utterly spiritual for me. And it really made an impact with me. So a few years back, Brockton always calls me and asks me to do a few like prayers for them, and they have me come over every now and then, because I'm, you know, Brockton girl, right? Well, anyway, what we structured it that way. We put all the little kids in the middle in a big circle, you know, like the little kindergartners. Then we had the next level, and we had it going all the way back, and then finally around the outside we had the teachers. And that's what we explained, you know, I brought smudge, and we smudged them all. And what really made me feel bad, I mean, like I said, this whole process, I explained to them, you know, what happened when we went out to this buffalo ranch, and that's why we were doing it this way. When I was going around, we're smudging, and there was this little boy. I said, if you guys have any prayers that you want said, just think about those prayers right now. And I told him, you know, showed him how to smudge. Here, this little boy really said, can you pray for my dad? My dad's really sick. I said, oh yeah, we'll pray for your dad. Here, his dad was very, very, very sick, and he didn't make it much longer after that. And I knew who his dad was, but I didn't know he was so sick. But the prayers from those little children are just so sacred too. And so I think that that is how the buffalo, we felt, my takeaway was the buffalo are teaching us, just like what you guys are talking about. And it has to be from within, and you have to see those kind of things yourself before it means something to you. And I'll never forget that. I'll never, ever forget that. And so whenever we structure ourselves, we need to always do that, you know, remember the little children, and then we kind of just build ourselves up, you know, from that point on, and we take care of one another. Anyway, I just had to share that because I remembered that you triggered that memory, and it goes with everything what you're talking about there, Uncle and Elijah.
Yeah, well, that's good, my niece told you. But again, you know, how we do those things is that's a classic example of what we're talking about, just what you shared there. And oh, I'm so glad that you're sharing that, because people need to understand we're not embellishing the truth. We don't have to. We just, I walk with the truth. And in that way, the language is just that as well. What you say is what you mean. What you mean is what you say. There's no sarcasm in when we speak. And so we would like to convey that in that representation of not only ourselves, but our family, our tribes, and all Indigenous people. And so those sorts of things, because we don't speak about them, or we don't feel we need to, we just live them, we're hoping and wishing through this, in this prayerful way, that other people would have that opportunity to experience things like that. And that also addresses abstract learning, that experiential teaching, eh? And again, understanding the importance of that duality. We talk about the linear learning process and abstract learning, reading, writing, arithmetic, and of course, abstract learning, experiential teaching, the importance of acquiring that knowledge, but at the same time, gaining that common sense, if you will, for lack of a better word, and achieving that sense of balance, and not beating ourselves up and thinking that we're chasing capitalistic imperialism because we got a doctorate. No, that opens your minds to help you understand the importance of that peripheral that we're depending on to learn from, as well as how much you had to focus to get that doctorate or that bachelor's or that master's, and the blood, sweat, and tears that went into it. But at the same time, attaching yourselves to an abstract learning process like you did there, Toja, that you went out there and actually were participating. But overall, as it relates to society and the way we're doing things now in this very trying time, is trying to help people understand the importance of coming together, the experience of not blaming or just healing from the inside out. When we take on the ceremonial aspect, that's how Indians heal from the inside out. Our non-Indian relatives heal from the outside in. Neither of them's right or wrong. They're just two different ways of healing. And until we can openly acknowledge that diversity, but yet representing that uniqueness and maintaining the integrity with this dignity and honor that we carry through our language that represents uniqueness, that's what we're wishing to share. And so the beauty of that, the stuff that is there philosophically, those aren't words that are just shared just to be talking. Those are words that are shared, not told, but shared to help oneself heal. Is that cool? That's the beauty of who and what we are, and that's what we're wishing to convey. And so as we do these things, a lot of our, like me, Roxanne, my dad, they always called him Uncle Geezy, And I was often wondered, I never really figured it out. And here I said, I never asked him until I figured it out myself. And they called him Uncle Geezy because his Indian name was Ishtagizi, that he had hazel eyes, And so that old man named him that. And so they just called him Geezy. But Ishtagizi was his name. And the beauty in that experience within itself to help us understand that the cultural value system is unique in itself, but at the same time, we can apply and share those good things, like what we're doing here. We're winging it as it relates to this IT perspective. That's what we're learning as we go. We're sharing in a good way. Can you still hear me, Toshka?
Yeah.
Good. Oh,
yeah. And we're still sharing in a good way to help us realize that if you make reference to Wama Dakota, Lakota Hemacha Turkey, Nakona Miano, if you say those, then you're representing that allyship or that comradeship with other people. And that's what we're wishing to express. Get away from all of the historical trauma, that lateral violence, that internalized oppression. We need to educate ourselves in the respects to understanding what our concerns are and how can the abstract learning help us, experiential teaching, and as well as the linear, And again, I was teasing, well, actually it was me and Kenny Tashunga Saba, I was teasing him. So, my brother, it's linear, the education. And I said, yeah, I said, but what if you keep pushing that line? Where's it end up? In a circle. We always teasing each other, but he was trying to make a point, which was well taken. But at the same time, these discussions can happen within ourselves. Whatever we observe is affording ourselves the right of our own integrity. That's respect. That's respectful of all these things. And that's what we're trying to accomplish without a lecture, for lack of a better word. So I can't tell you nothing, but I'll share with you. And then to institute this opportunity to be critical thinkers. Our minds are what one of the things, all these thoughts that come from our heart and we express them through our mouth is something that we haven't taken for granted. So all that we choose to do, all the decisions we make choice comes from our heart. That's what I said. I'm going to speak to you from my heart. Because if I spoke to you from my mouth without it coming from my heart, I would try to impress you. But if I speak to you from my heart, and it comes out of my mouth through my heart, then I wish to affect you. That's the difference, eh? And so you'll hear a lot of, although me and my niece here were politicians, but a lot of politicians speak to you from their mouth, because they wish to impress. Well, we lived our life from our hearts, and sometimes that you're not fully respected in regards to what your thoughts or your feelings were as it relates to that compassion and empathy, having an opportunity to exercise those virtues in such a good way, because we weren't chasing capitalism or anything like that, but we didn't deny it either. We understood the importance for the sake of people enjoying their new cars, enjoying their new houses, enjoying their groceries, enjoying their air conditioning, enjoying all of these good things where that dollar could take you. So we weren't denying it, but we were just trying to keep it in perspective. Is that right, Toja? You like that? Yeah, you think? Yeah, I think so. But see, and that's what we're wishing to convey. And then Toshka here, he's bringing us along with his IT understandings to help us get better and better and better. And so today we're trying to involve a lot of our students and even the administration to deal with these things, because this is just as important to the leadership as it is to those that are wishing to become a part of this pursuit of healthy life. And in that, I wish the understanding that we're conveying is accepted in the manner in which it's intended, respectfully. And we're not telling you nothing, please. And the reason I say that is because one of the reasons we started this is kind of dispel a lot of those superstitions that were involved in that. That we control ghosts and we have ghosts. Chun, those are my grandmas and grandpas that gone to the other side. Those aren't ghosts. That's not Freddy Krueger. But in our mind, we think that's humanistic. But spiritually, the way we work things is we make it work for us and we have support. But we got to ask first, and there's a protocol in which you can ask, and there's commitments and sincerity that's given to these requests based on your ability to understand the sacrifices one makes. And so it's kind of like that, and that's that natural process. And I know Toja here, she went to the Big Lodge asking for understanding and guidance and whatnot. She received it. Look at her now. Now she just walked around just happy making pies and bake. Yeah, and so, but again, you don't do them for personal gain. You don't do these things. You do them for others. That's the coolest thing. Is we do this not for ourselves, and we do them for others. But as a result of that inside out healing, we become comfortable with ourselves, and then we're able to go out and share that goodness and that happiness and that kindness and all the things that we work on with other people. And so I can't say enough about Toshka here, getting us together, bringing this forward, and of course, helping us realize there is another way we can get the message out. And this is the first time I do this, but I don't have to do it one-on-one. I could do it to a whole bunch of people if they want to participate. Hopefully,
Uncle, it's really interesting too how when we feed somebody, and the thoughts and the love that you can put into your cooking.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned that about taking food to the Big Lodge and the lodge singings and that sort of thing. There's a certain way that you have to do it.
Prepare.
You can't be angry. You have to put all your good thoughts in there, and it's really. I had some good teachers. Darlene Johnson was one of my ladies that she could scold like the best of them, but I was used to that because I grew up with someone just like her.
You know, a lot of people don't know this, but a lot of the ceremonial people would go to Darlene and ask her, and she'd do it. But she was she was so gruff, eh? But she was the most kindest person you'd ever want to know, and she knew how to make all of those traditional meals, and she would prepare them and not ask nothing back for it. She just loved doing it, man. I said, yeah. So yeah, Darlene was my good buddy. We used to argue all the time. Oh man.
So one of the things that Darlene made us do, I've been working here at the college for a long time. You talked about Kasunga Saab. His beautiful wife, Sylvia, worked with us, and the college had a grant one year. It was a family model, that family education model that we had. And it was about bringing families together to come and get educated and just kind of be together and kind of give each other support. And I remember Sylvia, of course, I can't say no. You can't never say no when somebody asks you something. So she had us help. And then of course, Darlene was involved because, she was good friends over in Wolf Point there. Well, it kind of ended up becoming a FPCC initiation. That's what it kind of evolved into.
Yeah.
So we had some students that were involved in Sylvia's program, and Darlene and Pearl Nation and Pearl's sister that just passed away. Yeah. They made us go down to the river with that taniga, and they made us right down over the hill here. They made us clean that tripe. We had to get in that river and turn those guts inside out and rinse everything off, and then bring them back and put them in buckets, and then rinse them off some more, but not too good. So we said, oh, this will be a really good initiation for our students, because they have to learn how to do these things. They need to know how to process some tanega, And so then Darlene, then of course one time it was cold, but like it is right now, it wasn't really warm. And she got some tanega, and so she made us all come over to her house, and we were all sitting outside her house, and she made us clean tripe, and she had one of those pressure washers.
Yeah.
That's kind of how she cleaned that Bible part, but she got after us not to clean it too good. So I had to have some of that green slime on it.
Old Indian trip. Yeah.
We should bring that back, initiation back, Elijah. What do you think?
I'm all for it. Let's do it.
Yeah. For the Buffalo Chaser Society, bring them in like that, initiate them, acknowledge them, and all that good stuff. Yeah, that would be it. See, we're just starting out, and so we're looking at, again, Buffalo Chaser Society is the society or the clan in which they belong to the Fort Peck Community College clan, but they're a society, and we're trying to reestablish that. So, but we'll get there. Yeah, that'd be a good thing.
That's really awesome. I also think it's awesome that you hopped on with us, Roxy, because in the future, your work with the Pate group, I think there's a lot of unheralded work that you folks do, your organization. And I know some of it's, from what I hear, is being documented through the World Wildlife Federation, I believe. But, anytime you guys want to hop on the call and give us updates, what you guys are doing, a little history of the Pate group, I think that would be only enrich our conversation. So whoever else that's part of it wants to contribute or share with us, because like we were saying, we want to document all this, and I think that would really help us. That
would be fun, because it goes back when the buffalo first came back to Fort Peck, and then Lois Redout, because we were all on an advisory board with Beth Rink. They were trying to develop an IRB. She was trying to do research here at Fort Peck, and come to find out Fort Peck did not have an institutional review board. And so we developed a advisory board, and then through that planning, we started talking about these buffalo coming back, and what are, what good, how fun it was going to be to have them here, but how is it going to help the spiritual, mental, physical, emotional well-being of our people if they're way out there north of Poplar here? And so anyway, they kind of went on and on from there. And Lois Reddock was saying, we need to stop talking about it and just do something. So we really owe a lot to our Towhee Lois, because if it wasn't for her saying that, we probably would still be sitting around talking about, all of this. And I know she'd be happy to. She's actually got some curriculum she's developing, because we're trying to develop maybe a food sovereignty program. I don't know if you've seen some of the videos that people have been posting lately about processing dry meat, corn balls, ojabi, wasna, choke cherry patties, and all of that. Well, I went to a food sovereignty workshop a few years back, and here I got there, and here Towhee Lois was there, one of the presenters, because she's been preserving foods for a long time. So I'm working with, right now I'm working with Lauren Tobias, and we're going to put together a grant, a planning grant to do some food sovereignty. And she is actually looking at SNAP dollars. And one of the objectives that we had with our Pate group was getting the meat to the people, and how people can access and buy some of that buffalo meat, or get some of the buffalo meat, because not everybody gets commodities, and and some people want to be able to have access to that buffalo meat, and we have all these buffalo, and Marty just stepped in behind me. Anyway, so Lauren and I are actually working on a planning grant right now. And we're hoping to be able to maybe do some activities, but first and foremost is using those SNAP dollars to be able to find a location in our area, possibly Main Street Grocery or somewhere. And what we want to do is we want to have some processed buffalo there, so that people can buy with their SNAP dollars, but they get double SNAP points for it. So like say if that roast was say $20, they would be able to use their SNAP dollars and only be charged $10. So that's kind of what we're trying to do, is try to help our people that way, but also have the buffalo meat locally. But we're still trying to work all of that out yet. But I mean, my gosh, I told her, I said, it's like a wagon wheel. We had our Pate group, and we started in the middle. We had that summit, and then from there we've had all these different things that have been happening. One of them, Suzanne could tell you about. She took the lead on that story pole project up north of Chelsea, and again, that was Towhee Lois's idea. For wellness, how are we gonna honor that Buffalo Treaty that our tribe signed in each of those different areas? There's research, education, economics. There's just all these different areas, and wellness was one of them. And so that's where the idea of this walking path came about. So we've been really, working in all sorts of different directions. Sometimes I just want to quit because it's too much. But then I get excited because it really is my passion. So thank you for the invitation, and I will make sure maybe we can dedicate one of this podcast, and we can bring in our Pate group.
Well, Tojel, what we could do is we're wishing to archive this stuff, all the like the wasna making, the would you call it, the wojapi you made that one time. And we would like to archive all of those things, and that's why I said that the college can become the catalyst to that whole thing. Eh? Bring all of these different things together, and then this is what this program is all about. And so it's important that this value system that exists out there, we kind of proliferate that, so that especially our non-Indian relatives can understand how we do that and why we do that, why we hang on to these things as it relates to the respect we have for our grandfathers, our great-grandfather, great-grandmothers, blah, blah, blah. But this historical effect in a positive way, how it's helped us to grow and become who and what we are like right now, eh? So that's so cool. You get that, Toshka? That's what I mean, that catalyst can happen right here at the college, because we've got a foundation here and one in Wolf Point, and just create this program to bring on all that and archive it like a library. And then we can photograph a lot of those archives. Remember what Lenore was trying to protect for all those years, and boy, nobody really understood the importance of that other than her. And here things just got dug around in and messed up. Well, we can bring all that and kind of catalog it right here and put it in this place.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, because we're wishing to create a library. What do you think, Toshka?
Oh, heck yeah. I think that's a awesome idea, because, I've heard it from President Itancha of the college since I've been working here. Sometimes we don't tell our story, right? Because we're in the business in this podcast, we're trying to tell the story and invite. And so we don't, the college in general, we don't tell our story sometimes as well as we could there, because there's so many cool things happening. Like if you look at like the Pate group, what they're doing, man, we're doing some real cool stuff, the World Wildlife Federation. And if we could just kind of digitally archive it here, it's like your one-stop shop for wellness. Food is part of that Tatanka Tado. If we have healthy ways of treating our bodies and learning all that stuff here, man, it's the best way that we can share it to the masses, to all of the community, is right here. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I know we haven't really solidified a schedule. You listen to Uncle Tommy here, it's like sometimes we just log in and we just kind of wing it. The first couple we got some topics, but don't get me wrong, we're still trying to, for students that are listening, community members, if you have any questions, comments, topic ideas, you can put them in the comment section, or you can email myself, hop on the Zoom call, put it in the chat function if you're on the Zoom call, and we'll do our best to address the topic.
For sure. Legitimate. There's no bad question. Every question has legitimacy. We'll pursue it, research it, whatever, and we'll definitely provide you with some guidance or direction as it relates to receiving that clarity. And again, we that's how you dispel a lot of this superstition, is get rid of that fear. Brehichiapo, that's the word I was looking for. Make yourself strong like that with good, truthful information, and that's what we're going to convey. That's why I think this is so important, and just appreciate the input from Toja there. But I know everybody has their story. Well, that's what we want to bring together. So good words there, Toshka. This is what we need. We need to tell our story. We need to be able to archive it. We need to be able to have it someplace, not for us, but for those kids that can research it and know that they have a history, know that they have a part in what it is that we're doing. So heck yeah, I think that's cool.
Yeah, in previous discussions, even off air with Uncle, is sometimes it's in order to create the change that we want to see, sometimes it creates we have to do what's called like a paradigm shift. And he said to you take those two dimes and you kind of push them like that.
Ideological paradigm shift with 2 dimes, just shift them over here.
But
one of the things that with these podcasts that because we have those Chante videos that we've developed, but we've got to figure out a way to get them to the kids. And so I think that if we utilize our education students, or some of the students that are really interested in listening and documenting, that's one of the things we need to do, is create like a skeleton note-taking type document, so that when a child, like say 5th grader, watches this podcast, what are things that they should listen for? So taking it like beyond just having this conversation and putting it into a curriculum, like a lesson plan. So that way, like a skeleton note page would just have like, Tommy Christian talked about blah, blah, blah. And then what did he say about Tashunga Sab? What was some of the wisdom that he shared that his uncle Tashunga Sab shared with him? Just something like that. Then the kids begin to listen for that, and they begin to become critical thinkers. It helps them. And so that's what we're trying to do with our Chante YouTube videos. That was what I'm supposed to be doing right now, is rewatching those videos and then coming up with tags to, like, so when people do a Google search, they can find those videos. And then of course I heard my email go off, and it was from Elijah saying, "Hey, check out this video." I thought I could just play it in the background and while I was working, but no, didn't happen.
That's good. Yeah, we pulled you right in, so it worked.
You reeled me in.
Yeah.
Anyway, I better log off. I've got a couple things I got to do before the end of work day. So it's good to see you guys.
Thank you for joining us.
Okay.
Well, I believe we are about at the end of our hour-long discussion. I think we had a very very healthy discussion. I appreciate everybody that joined us online. Is there any parting comments or words next you want to share with us?
Well, just the fact that tell people about us. Let people know. I think that's one of the things is people weren't aware that we're available, and we're here every Thursday at 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock, and we try to keep it within that hour, and we don't keep going. We're just trying to keep it to an hour. We felt that was really accommodating to those that want to participate, and we can always go, because we're going to keep it consistent, right, Toshka? Every Thursday at 3 o'clock from the Fort Peck Community College, we go Facebook Live. But again, let people know, and we'd be more than happy to welcome in, like Toja did here just now. Roxy, she come in and she added that. We'd like people to come in and bring their stories in, because we're going to archive these in a little library, not a little one. Hopefully it'll be a big one after a while. Get our library just full of stuff. We've got other people coming on. We got Earl Bullhead. We all know Earl. That's my older brother. He's got some commitments he shared with us that he'd like to do, and a lot of historical stuff. But if you have resources, Lois Redout evidently is another one that Toja brought up. We can involve her and get all these little things in the archiving stuff. But yeah, I think this is a good way to do it, a good way to share, stay positive, stay apolitical, and again, just genuinely come from a community perspective for the sake of the growth of our young people here, and let them all realize the importance of we're depending on them as much as they depend on us. We're depending on them as well to become this responsible force in our community. So just wanted to share that in closing, Tushka.
Pinama. So yes, I would definitely piggyback on those sentiments, because where we are with the podcast and what we're trying to do, just to reiterate again, every Thursday, 3 to 4, we're live on Facebook. If you do Facebook, great. I know there's a lot of people that aren't on Facebook and they've reached out to us. And so because of that, trying to meet the need of wherever you are in Buffalo Chaser country, as long as you have access to the internet, we are on YouTube. Subscribe to Fort Peck Community College. Every one of the episodes, the full episode, the video podcast is available there, starting from week 1 here to week 8. We are also on the audio podcast. We are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and Google Podcasts. Just search the Buffalo Chasers. So that way you can download us. If you go for a cruise, you go for a drive. Some people even just listen while they're doing the dishes, hanging out at the home, watching the kids. Your feedback is important to us. Yeah, the mental health of everybody that's listening, the community, especially our students, is important. So Uncle's right when he says, we're depending upon you. The community is depending upon you. Fort Peck Community College is depending upon you. You're the reason why individuals like myself are employed here. I really enjoy the work that I do. I'm able to get the message out. And so feel free to contact us again if you have any questions. We're more than happy to help you. Again, every Thursday from 3 to 4, even on Washichu calendar holidays, Thanksgiving, we'll still be here, rain or shine. Okay, we might be have gravy running down the side of our cheeks, looking just greasy, but we'll still be here, sharing, and wherever the conversation takes us is what we're going to do. And also every Friday from 11 to noon on Zoom, if you're a student, check your student email account, because we have a virtual talking circle where we're going to be able to possibly continue the discussion like we are right now, but it's designed specifically to give students a virtual platform to get together and to talk about whatever you want. So within a virtual talking circle, that virtual feather is given to everybody that's on the call, and you can talk about whatever you want to talk about, and so there's
your private rooms too, if you got something more personal. Yeah.
How so like with the Zoom platform, they call them breakout rooms. So if at any point you wanted to talk to someone like actually Tommy here or other staffers at the college, you can go and have a private confidential conversation with them. If you want to just join the call but just turn off the mic and just listen, that's all good too.
But it's not on Facebook Live. It's private in our own little arena.
How it's correct. Absolutely. It's not archived. That's not a completely different thing than the podcast. We're just letting students know that it's available. Just check your email. Completely confidential. We're not documenting who's there and what they did and what they said. Completely confidential and professional. So it's just another resource, another tool in your arsenal to have some good resources and to address mental health, because it's super important during this time period. So so with that's pretty much all I wanted to cover today. Again, dokshta kewachia kapikte petu washte yuhapo.
What he said.
Oh.
Ditto.
Hey ha ya, hey ha ya, hey ya, hey yo, hey yo, hey yo. Hey ha ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey yo, hey yo, hey yo. Hey ha ya, hey ya. Hey ha ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey yo, hey yo. Fort Peck Community College, Ukiyepino, yo, me too, gashi, dagush, kashka, iyogi, no, yo, wata, pevi, agi, ktabi, ichachi, ya, bino, hey yo, hey yo. Hey ha ya, hey ha ya, hey ya, hey yo, hey yo, hey yo. Hey ha ya, hey ya, hey ha, yo, hey yo, hey yo. Hey ha ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ya, hey ha ya, hey yo, hey yo yo me too gashi dagush kashka yogi piano yo yo wata pepe hagik tabi ihachiya ya bino hey yo
Täällä. Jää chanu tuska duksake.
Oh, looks stuck.